Hello, thank you. Oh, thank you so much for that. I'm gonna squish down a little. I love how this looks kind of like a machete, a glass machete. Very appropriate. Um, Thank you so much. You know, Cheech, I owe so much to Cheech. He was the first celebrity worth knowing when I first came to Los Angeles with El Mariachi. And I was showing it to the town, I guess, at the DGA Theater, right? And Cheech came up to me afterwards, and of course I was a big fan of his growing up with Cheech in my house. And he wrote down his name, his number, and said, call me if you ever need anything. I thought that was the coolest thing anybody's ever done. And of course, there was something you could do for me. That was star in 8 movies of mine. And Cheech is a very smart guy. Talk about visionary. He would call me every once in a while and say, hey, how's my part coming along? He didn't know what I was working on. He didn't know what I was doing, but he would say, how's my part coming? And I would go, oh, wait. You know what? Actually, there is a part you could probably play. Before I'd even thought of casting, he would guarantee himself a slot in the movie by just saying, how's my part coming along? I'm glad to get this visionary award. It's very accidental. I really didn't have much of a vision. A lot of what I've done has been an accident. I remember when I just wanted to stay home in Texas, draw cartoons, maybe make some commercials, and live at home making little stuff. No one ever really came out of Texas. It wasn't really a dream to go be a filmmaker coming out of Texas, coming out of UT. But then this idea came to me to make this little Mexican Spanish language movie when Like Water for Chocolate was being shot in a hometown of my friend Carlos Gallardo. I'd made a bunch of movies with him in high school. And he said, there's a real movie shooting here, not just the ones we make. There's a real one called Like Water for Chocolate. So I went down and visited, and we showed the production manager one of our little action movies we had done in high school back in Texas. And the production manager said, you should make some straight-to-video, one of those video home movies, you know, one of those Spanish movies that you find in the local convenience stores. We sell them for like $30,000 or $40,000. We make it for 30 or 40. So Carlos and I looked at each other and thought, 30 or 40? They must sell it for 50 or 60. We can make one better than that for $5,000 on film. They shoot on video. So we said, let's go make one. It's kind of cool. I know my friends like foreign films. I could always say, hey, I made a foreign film. Go look in the Spanish section. You'll see a movie by Robert Rodriguez called, I can't even do it seriously. I'm going to make a movie. Let's call it El Mariachi. Let's make it a movie that no one would even bother to see in the action genre. They'll go to the action department and they'll see Perros Rabiosos and they'll see El Mariachi. Who's going to rent that looking for a night of action? But if they were to take a chance and pop it in, we'll stuff it full of action. So that was my idea. I said, man, we can make a killing. We'd probably make it for $5,000, sell it for 20. I'll be perfectly happy living in Texas, raising babies, making little movies on the side. No one will know it's me, so they can be as terrible as I want them to be. And then something happened. I made that movie, and I showed it to an agent here in Los Angeles to try to get, to see what he thought of my demo reel, because I was making little short films like Bedhead, and I thought I might make those little Mexican action movies in order to raise money to make a real independent film. And he sent that off to the studios, saying, I think I can get you work from this movie. And Columbia Pictures ended up buying that movie to remake it. And then we took it to show it to an audience to test the ending, because they thought the ending might be a bummer, that the girl died, before we remade it in English. And it tested so well that they decided to release it as is. And it became the lowest budget movie ever released by a major studio. I can't take credit because it was an accident. Had I known anyone had seen it, I would have shot an extra take of everything. I only shot one take knowing no one would see it. I thought no one would see it. It's the only movie ever made in history that you thought no one would ever see, and yet everybody ended up seeing. But something funny happened because of that. I came to Los Angeles and suddenly was promoting this movie I hoped no one would ever see, and suddenly everyone was seeing it, and it was in Spanish. And I didn't really even speak Spanish. That was really one of the things that I left out of the legend. I didn't want anybody to know. Suddenly they wanted me on Sábado Gigante, and I was like the pride of the people, and I couldn't speak the fucking language. I was like, I had to learn real quick. Berlitz and me became good friends. And something strange happened. I came, I met Cheech. He wrote down his number, and I met a really cool Montezuma Esparza. I met a bunch of people here in the Latino community that were very supportive, and they gave me the vision. Ricardo Montalban, I met him to show him my mariachi, and he stood up from his wheelchair and said, "You are the hope." And I knew I couldn't let him down. And then I got my vision. My vision was I wanted to see more Latins on screen, even if I had to do it myself. In very iconic roles, and in roles that people wouldn't forget, in roles that could not be ignored. And I teamed up with the best that was around, guys like Ricardo, guys like Cheech, and they were established, and then had to find new people, like Salma Hayek. I had to push to get her to be in that movie. To bring Antonio Banderas over to get him. I met Danny Trejo for the first time and gave him a knife and said, "Learn how to use this, because you're going to be the knife guy in Desperado." And he carried a knife in just about every movie that I did after that. And Michelle Rodriguez, Jessica Alba, I mean, the list goes on. It's much better now than it was when I started. There was no Latin stars. We had to create our own Latin stars, and everyone rallied around it, and it was an incredible time. And to see so many people up here who deserve to be up here, and to see everybody in the audience, Ricardo would be proud. So there is a moment at the end of the machete where he holds up his machete to continue the struggle, and so I do that now. Thank you.